So, welcome to the Green Team, the weird little patron spinoff of the Legendarium. We discuss books and topics our favorite podcast hasn't gotten around to yet. Today, we are celebrating 300 episodes of Craig and the Crew. They brought us together with their love of books and gave us a cozy place to talk about our favorite genre and life in general. I'm Little Red Book, and today I have with me our supreme Discord overlord, Kenn.
Hi.
Our sweet, if confused, bearcat, befuddled panda.
Hi. Hello.
The mensch who loves all the books, Chesky.
I do love books.
But not wool.
Yeah.
And the romance lover, toilet connoisseur, and the sorcerer I want in a pinch, Hero fan.
Hello.
We're each going to tell the story of how we ended up in this community and why we decided to become a patron. We'll also include recordings and readings from patrons who are unable to be here today. Hello, everyone. So, are we so excited to talk about our favorite podcast?
I guess.
So excited.
Excited/embarrassed.
Oh, don't be embarrassed. We're going to start with the Befuddled Panda, who is going to be our editor for this episode, and we thank you very much for that, Panda.
Well, I found out about the Legendarium via another Discord server. On that other server, I was browsing through the different channels, and then something caught my eye. Someone had mentioned Tamora Pierce, and I was so excited to see someone else mention her that I DM'd that person. That person was Kirby the Cleric, and we exchanged a few messages, and then Kirby mentioned there was another Discord server they were on where a group of people were doing a book club with Tamora Pierce's books, and that was the first time I had ever heard of the Legendarium. I was so happy to find such a welcoming group of people that I could talk to about something I love so much. After I joined the Legendarium Discord, I started browsing the back catalog of all of the Legendarium episodes, and there were so many books and authors that were on my TBR list, but I hadn't gotten to them yet because they were a bit intimidating for me. I've tried out different book podcasts in the past, but didn't stick to them because, to be honest, a lot of them were really bland and boring. But I decided to give the Legendarium a try, and I started with the Red Rising episodes because I love those books. And the moment Kenn said, "We're all Pinecone cousins here," I was sold. I knew I had found my people. That little detail was an indication to me that this podcast was not going to be dry and boring. Even though I had only listened to a couple of episodes at the time, I decided to become a patron because I was getting so much from the community that the Legendarium has built. And I wanted to give something back to them. I've listened to many of the older episodes now and getting to know the panelists better. And everyone's enthusiasm and banter on each episode really makes it feel like I am hanging out with a group of friends, even though I have never met any of them in person. We don't always agree, but we can always laugh together. Well, I mean, it's more me laughing with them because they don't know that I'm laughing. But yeah, congrats on 300.
I'm going to take some credit here for starting that book club.
Wasn't going to mention this, but hashtag kickbacks there.
Thanks, Kirby.
I have muted myself by accident again, guys. I'm really good at this podcasting thing.
Maybe one day you'll have 300 episodes under your belt, too.
Right.
We can only hope.
Oh, man. Okay, Kit, you're up, and you're going to be reading Eridandus?
Okay. I'll be reading Eridandus's Thank You, one of my favorite members of the Discord community, and yes, I play favorites. We will be having an upcoming episode where Eridandus and I talk about Lord of Light. It'll be a good fun time. But here's what he says. Why did I become a patron? I joined the Legendarium out of boredom and became a patron because of the community. Let's rewind. When I first found the Legendarium podcast, I wanted something to listen to while I exercised. At the time, I felt I did not have the time to really enjoy books the way I used to. I was maybe reading a book every couple of months. This podcast ended up being such a great outlet to scratch that book itch. I was immersed with a group of fellow book lovers who were knowledgeable about the books and engaging in their own right. I came to look forward to Craig's snark, Ryan's wit, Kenn's enthusiasm, Todd's earnestness, or Megan's insight just as much as I did their critiques of the books. It genuinely felt like I was listening on a group of friends. Then COVID happened. My life outside the internet, like most of us, came to a halt. So I ventured into the Legendarium Discord. There, I found people I could connect to with similar interests, people who made the time to read. The slowdown in my personal schedule made me reprioritize what was important to me. I have always read a lot for work, but I had stopped reading for myself. After being on the Discord and listening to the podcast for a while, I realized that reading for myself was important. So I started doing that again and interacting more on the server. A few months after COVID started, I was listening to our group of friends complain about how alone and bored they felt since the pandemic started. I simply did not feel that way. I was not alone and not bored. In my mind, I started counting up the time I had spent on the Discord, how many books I have reread, and how many new books I started to read. It was a lot. So to come around to where I started, why am I a patron? I owe my renewed appreciation for books and my sanity during the pandemic to the Legendarium. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you.
See why I love him?
Yeah.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's really great. I like your guys'. Oh, sorry.
I like your voice, Kip.
Thanks.
I also like it when you guys fight about things.
We have great discussions.
I like how he listens to all of my recommendations from our first episode and reads them.
Has he?
Yeah.
He's read
And
most
he's
of
been
them.
really sold on the craft sequence.
Yeah, I gotta try that yet.
Well,
I'm doing Guns of Dawn right now, just because it's, love story. It's fun. Kieran likes romance.
Hey, I'm starting to appreciate romance more with that boyfriend material book. So if anybody wants to send me some nice romances, I'm all ears.
You gushed for like 2 days about that book. It was great. I loved it.
It was a fun experience.
Okay, so now we're gonna hear an audio clip from Joff Wu, who is our Reddit monitor.
Woo!
Joff Wu!
Wow.
Hi, this is Joshua, perhaps better known as Joff Wu. My reading career sort of peaked in high school with Wheel of Time. I was reading pretty ravenously at that point, but I caught up with Robert Jordan, and after that struggled to find anything that really measured up. Life got busy, college happened, and I just didn't find myself reading as much as I once did. Many years later, I realized that the final Wheel of Time book was out, so I did a full reread and then another. And I was tempted to do another, but I decided to force myself to branch out because I was enjoying being a reader again. So from there, I naturally went to Brandon Sanderson, whose books I fell deeply in love with. And I found Legendarium on the tail end of my first Cosmere read-through. So at the time, I was hungry for any discussion I could find about the Cosmere, and this was right in the middle of Legendarium's year of Sanderson. So I soaked up every episode that I could, and I think somewhere along there I earned my role as Ryan's nemesis. I wasn't particularly looking for anything more than Cosmere discussion at that point, but I found myself enjoying their personalities and discussion style. And I had read all the Cosmere, so I started dipping my toes into some of the other books that they had covered, listening to those episodes as I waited for more Sanderson content. And when they announced that the Wheel of Time would be next, I was fully on board to continue. Again, because I had thoroughly read the Wheel of Time, I was free to continue digging through Legendarium's backlog and occasionally the new non-Wheel of Time episodes that they would do. Heroes of Sci-Fi was one of my favorite series that they did. So somewhere along that road, I helped them start up the subreddit, and I moderate several of Sanderson's subreddits. So it was an easy thing for me to set up, and I looked forward to just an opportunity to have some more interaction. And that's how I got hooked on Legendarium, and why I became a patron. It's honestly kind of like paying for a group workout program, but instead of exercise, I get to read books and discuss them with cool people. So thank you to Legendarium for doing what you do. Thanks for all the new books that you've encouraged me to try and for helping me to become a reader again.
Chesky,
hey,
it's your turn. Tell us all about why you're here.
Why am I here? Well, that's a good question. I had just moved to a new job and moved physically, and I got a new commute. My 5-minute commute turned into a 30 to 45-minute commute, and I really needed something to keep me from going crazy while I drove. So I decided to give podcasts a try. I'd never really been dedicated to listening to podcasts. And of course, I love books, so I searched, books and reading, and I found the Legendarium. And because I'm weird, I just started right from episode 1 and just listened. I didn't listen to any of the ones that they were doing at the time, but I remember seeing them get downloaded and being really excited to hear the newest ones, when I finally got there. I love the community. I love interacting with them. The podcast has been nothing but nice and encouraging. I've met with Craig, I think twice or 3 times, and every time he always takes care to talk to you, make it personal, and he's not in a rush or anything like that. It meant a lot to me a couple times because, even before the pandemic, I didn't do a ton outside of my house. So anytime I went out to meet with them, it really, hit home just how much they care about the books, about the people that listen. I remember meeting Craig the last time at the release of Oathbringer. He was so nice. He talked about the podcast a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I listened to this podcast." And I almost recommended his own podcast to him because I didn't recognize his voice, but I did recognize it, but I didn't. That was the first time I met him, I think, and then just solidified that I needed to give back, and I wanted to give back, and so that's why I'm a patron. And thanks for 300 great episodes.
Yes. Guys, do you think we can make Craig cry?
I
can
would
try.
like to.
Does he
We
have
can
a
make
heart?
his eyes glisten a little bit.
I bet we get Todd to cry though.
Oh, no, Todd's definitely crying.
Todd's probably crying right now.
And Megan.
Oh, Megan will probably cry too. So, Panda, would you like to share with us some thoughts from Combat Wombat?
I would love to. So, Combat Wombat says, many of you know, but I was in the military for a number of years. I got out in 2017, quit drinking, moved across the nation, and attempted to re enter society. I read a lot in my prior life and chose that time to get back into the science fiction and fantasy game. I was searching for healthy outlets. I was listening to a Daniel Green episode where Craig was debating someone. I don't even remember who or what it was about. I thought he killed it. I am in the cult now, and checked out the podcast. It was and continues to be a treasure trove of awesome. I hopped on the Reddit but sucked about checking it and eventually found my way to the Discord. I'm a patron because having this community and listening to the panelists talk about my favorite genre has been magnificent. I look forward to the episodes and I check in here every day. Not only have I found people who love some of the same things as me, you all have given me some sort of genuine hope for humanity.
Oh no, I'm gonna cry. And I haven't even got to mine one yet. And I'm supposed to go next.
I think you can just say that everyone who put something in for this episode is one of my favorite people here.
I wish Wombat would post more.
Yeah.
I remember that Daniel Green episode. It was Watt spoilers, and Craig killed him.
I also remember that episode. I remember exactly where I was when I was listening to that because Craig massacred him.
Well, it's he took it seriously, and they're just yeah. All of the comments were like, "Man, this Craig guy is ruthless."
Yeah, it was over when the other debater was like, "The Hobbit isn't for children."
What? I don't think I've seen this episode.
I bet Craig
I'll
just
link it later.
yeah.
Okay, please do.
The Hobbit isn't accessible for children. And then Craig was like, "Oh boy."
It was written for children.
It was. The children were smarter then, I guess.
I don't. Well, I mean, I wouldn't give it to my 8-year-old to read necessarily, but I'd read it to my 8-year-old. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's. Okay, so we're gonna try me reading this, which is
Good
my
luck.
thank you, and I'm gonna try not to cry. So we'll see. So I discovered the Legendarium through another podcast on which Jack Butler was a regular. He mentioned appearing on episode 221 of Turin Tamar, I believe is the name of the story they told. It was 4 months after my mother died, and things were really difficult for me. And suddenly I had a bunch of new friends who had read many of the books I've already read and new recommends for me. I discovered the Reddit and lurked for a while, and they made my very first social media post ever. After a year of listening and getting so much joy out of the podcast, I decided to become a patron. I found out about the Discord about the same time. Somehow I fell into this lovely community that has given me 3 new hobbies, 2 of which I can share with my kiddos. And I also got math help for my number 2 son when the school shut down last spring. This is my safe place from the world. You are all so funny and fun, and I learn a little from you every day.
I'm getting a little teary-eyed.
Hey,
I'm tearing up. I'm not
you
crying.
did it.
I did do it.
I will say, Red. When someone new enters a Discord, it's often they don't maybe say anything. Maybe they're a little too intimidated. Maybe they're just checking things out. But when you entered, you started talking right away, and it was immediately clear that you were a fun personality.
Thank you.
Right from the very start, I was like, okay, this is going to be. First, I was like, I'm going to have to teach her how to spoiler things. And
you justifiably deleted a post a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I deserved it. So anyway, we're going to insert some audio from a name I can't pronounce. I'm sorry, tore my egg. Our Norwegian.
Mr. T.
Mr. T. He was on our Mazatlan episode, and here is his audio.
I've never been a big one for podcasts. It didn't really appeal to me to listen to people just talking about stuff. I'm not a radio listener either, except for music. But when Brandon Sanderson posted a link on Facebook to an episode of a podcast where he was talking with some people about Terry Pratchett's The Truth, I figured I'd give it a listen. 2 of my favourite authors in one go, and it was really enjoyable. So, over a year later, and I've listened through most of your back catalogue of casts covering books I've read. I do need you to start reading my kind of books again soon. All this urban fantasy stuff is getting on my nerves. Well, what's really kept me in the fold, though, is the Discord community. It has to be one of the least toxic and most laid-back places on the interwebs, and I've made more friends there than I thought was possible online. They recommend books, they read the books that you guys don't, and they talk about them. And they talk about everything else between heaven and earth, and a few other things besides. So, don't go away, keep reading, and keep casting.
Now Kip's going to read our Dungeon Masters.
yes, our lovely Dungeon Master, Ashaman.
Yes.
He says this. I started listening to Legendarium off of Craig's shameless self-promotion on Reddit back when they started covering Wheel of Time. For the longest time, I would listen to them on the bus or while I was at work and had an opportunity. Eventually, I decided to get involved in the community, and it's been a blast. The Discord server is a welcoming place full of intelligent and witty people who I deeply enjoy talking with. I became a patron to give back a bit to Craig and the crew, who have spent so much time listening to and enjoying. I'll just take this opportunity to thank them for working so hard on the podcast we all love, and also the community, which I firmly believe is one of the most wholesome around. I don't know if half of you as well as I should like to, and I like less than half of you as half as much as you deserve. Well, I'm glad he knows that he's not giving me enough credit.
Yeah, it's all about you,
Fine.
Kip, isn't it?
I used that line in my wedding speech.
Yeah.
And you're still married, so good for you.
It's working.
I would say the the welcome wagon when a new person joins, it is very nice because like going on the internet, just kind of popping in. And there are so many Discord servers out there. Like I perused quite a few before landing in the Legendarium, and when I joined, the energy and the welcome was so different. It was so warm. I was like, oh, maybe I found a place where I can really spend time and, make friendships. So it's very
Yeah.
nice.
That's
No,
my
I love that part of. I like being part of the welcome crew, and sometimes I miss people, but I was welcomed, and I just love sharing that welcome. You guys are so great. I love you all.
Right back at ya.
Okay, Huron fan, will you share with us why you're here?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, after years, I got a little teary-eyed. I discovered this podcast from Reddit. I had recently graduated from university, and suddenly I had a lot of time to read books other than my course books. And I've always loved Lord of the Rings, but I've never ventured into other fantasy. And after university, I moved to Japan, and I had to move away from my family and moved away from my friends and started a new life. And I suddenly had a lot of new time and wanted to spend more time doing things that I like. So, like Panda, podcast makes it feel like I'm listening to a group of friends talk about things that they love, and they could share their love through that. And I'm really appreciative of the podcast because I joined the Reddit subreddit, and I joined there a lot, and it felt like we had a really nice community. But really, I feel like I made friends once I joined the Discord, and I started D&D, and I've never done that before, and it's been a lot of fun. And I'm just really happy about the community here. And I just want to say thank you for the podcast, for wonderful entertainment, and mostly for the community.
Oh man.
We-
Okay.
You were always great to talk to and have fun with anyway, so we enjoy you as well. Don't worry.
Yes.
We do.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, geez, guys. I don't know. I'm so glad I'm not reading most of these because. Okay, Chesky, will you please read Old Lady Geek for us?
I would love to. Old Lady Geek shared with us that she's been reading fantasy for most of her life and never found anyone with the same interests. Never thought of finding anyone online, even though I spend a lot of time online for other interests. When I got my newer car, it had Bluetooth, and I started exploring podcasts and found this one. It was so amazing to listen to people talking about the books I love. I could understand the jokes, lol. I have social anxiety issues and feel so very welcome here. I chose to be a patron because this community has helped keep me, a retail worker, sane during this difficult time. I really appreciate how the panel members work hard to create this feeling of community.
I'm not going to imagine Old Lady Geek's voice as your voice.
That's probably smart.
Poor Old Lady Geek.
Oh,
But props to her for staying sane during this crazy time as a retail worker.
props. I'm not sure
Right.
I've managed that.
Yeah, that would
For
be
sure
tough.
not. I actually, whenever I read your guys' posts, I always hear it in your guys' voices. So.
It was very interesting to learn your voice for the first time, Red.
Oh, I don't know how to
Yeah.
take that.
No, because it really did change how I hear the things that you've typed. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I am very tongue-in-cheek on Discord, so now,
That's very true.
yeah, no, I know. Everything is with a wink, pretty much, except for my gratitude lists, which are genuine gratitude lists.
Which are a lovely part of the server. In case anyone doesn't know about them, Red will post 5 things that she is grateful for every day, and sometimes other people follow the pattern. Not me,
Yeah.
but other people.
That's because you're not grateful. You're an ingrate.
I just don't like having feelings, gratefulness or not.
Yes,
Please.
ban those feelings.
Well, you guys know that you're basically my group therapy, right?
Yes.
Okay, Kit.
Okay.
And this is, before you start, I want to say this.
Okay.
This is an actual Legendarium panelist, guys, that we have on our our fan podcast.
Yeah, if you guys want to check out my voice on an actual Legendarium episode, you can listen to the Dune Messiah Part 2 episode because those were so well loved. So I picked up the Legendarium from a Facebook post during the year of Sanderson. I had a 2-hour commute at the time, and I ripped through the back catalog fairly quickly. I'm not really a huge podcast person, and I certainly wasn't at the time, but I quickly felt connected to the crew, especially Craig's snark, in a way that I never expected. I started checking the Reddit and occasionally posting questions, and was delighted when I got responses. Mostly I lurked, just enjoying the episodes, the panelists, and the books. I got to know the names of the frequent callers and how to say, Jafwoo! When Craig put a call out asking if anyone knew how to set up a Discord, I was co-admin of a rather large Discord at the time and pretty experienced in managing the technical aspects of one. So I set up a draft server for the pod one afternoon and invited Craig to check it out. I won't lie, I fanboyed pretty hard when he actually responded, though I like to think I've mostly gotten over that. And the rest is history. Now we have over 500 members on the Discord, a spin-off podcast, a patron D&D group, a custom-coded bot thanks to Colonel Rabbit, and overall just a fantastic community of people that never fail to brighten up my day. I definitely never expected any of this to happen, but I'm looking forward to celebrating the finale of the Cosmere with all of you a few decades from now. I don't know if I'll be getting podcasts directly implanted into my brain by that point, but I know I'll be doing it with the people I've met here.
Aww.
So sweet. There's all those feelings you were talking about avoiding.
Yeah, I've never
You
heard
should.
that.
I put them on paper. They're designed to sound nice.
You put them on paper and lock them away.
So I, in preparation for this episode, re-listened to that episode with you. It's episode 222, I believe. And Todd asked you, what do you guys call yourselves? And he rattled off a whole bunch of games or names and stuff.
He did.
And I was like, but we all know what we call ourselves now, right?
Because he called me the Legendarium Fanbassador.
Right. And the fan base calls themselves Green Team now.
We are Green Team. Yeah.
Exactly.
I do like how there are several people who weren't really into podcasts before the Legendarium, and personally I really didn't have the mental capacity or the focus to listen to podcasts until the Legendarium, because the other stuff was just not engaging enough, but this one was very engaging, and it is partially because of Craig's snark.
It is. You really feel like you're getting the authentic selves from the Legendary pod members, and it does feel like they're inviting you into their friend group a little bit.
Exactly.
And they're just talking about how they feel about books, and they're being real honest and not holding back from insulting each other when they want to.
Yeah, and the other panelists, they can take it too. They'll play off of his snark, which is what really makes it work.
Yep. And everyone's like, yeah, when I first met Craig, I didn't like him. But eventually I spent enough time with him and I just started to understand that's just how he is.
He's just a jerk.
He grows on you like moss.
Oh, I like to think he's not a jerk. He just plays one on podcasting.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys. Every time I've talked with him, he's been great.
I mean, I will say this. When I visited to do the recording, he was lovely about picking me up from the train station, bringing me to Home Depot so we could get some trim for the studio, and then giving a little pizza party after the end of the episode. It was great.
I have a story about Craig that I've not met him in person, but I don't know if I should share it in a public format. I don't think I will. No, it's not. It's just I don't
really want to hear it then.
It's the time when he fell down a flight of stairs in front of you and you promised never to tell anyone.
Yes, exactly what it is. I said, I promise I'm not going to tell the entire world that you fell down the stairs.
So, am I keeping this in or?
Yes,
Yes, please.
Okay.
totally. So we have one last patron who wanted something read, and that's Lady Sweden. And so before I start, Lady Sweden and I and Panda have our own separate little DM discussion where we talk about stuff that you guys don't get to know about.
So jealous.
Oh, yeah.
We talk about all of you. No, we don't. We talk
So
about
jealous. I bet you talk about boys.
That would be unsurprising if you talked about it a little bit.
Well, I did mention you to Lady Sweden, Chesky, when we were talking about Battleground. But anyway, only because, never mind. I'm not going to say anymore.
Secret conversation.
LRB just really spilling the secrets on this episode. That's great.
I'm not spilling any secrets.
So now you know.
Discord
You have a
I just
secret with
tried.
her.
See, this is why you needed to train me with spoilers, because
This is exactly why I needed to train you about meta spoilers. It is.
Lady Sweden says, I've always been quite alone with my interest in books. I have been alone in my journey into the fantastical. I've never had friends with the same interests. A year ago, I found BookTube and Daniel Green. And one day, Craig showed up and I decided to check out the Legendarium, and I was hooked. It was all I wanted. I finally found someone else doing nerdy deep dives into books I was reading, highlighting things I really liked or disliked, but especially brought in new perspectives to my own experiences. I still remember bursting with thoughts about the Black Prism, walking longer and longer one afternoon, just so I could listen to you the more. In other moments, when I'm in a crappy mood, I've just put on the backlog of tangent episodes, and as soon as Craig's insults begin, I'm happier. And with banter and discussion in my ears, I've become a happier person with a smile on my face, chuckling to myself. I've also been restlessly taking long walks and laughing and crying like crazy when the Blue Team Dresden episodes are in my ears. Slowly, I'm making my way through the backlog. I've become a patron because I appreciate the content and simply want you all to be able to make more of these goodies that bring me so much joy. Another reason is because of our Discord, which still amazes me, full of book talk, shenanigans, banter, and laughter, without all the trash talk and conflict other places online have. I found a community of friends and also found so many new books and authors I've never heard of before. It is now the first app I check in the morning and the last one I check before I go to bed. Thank you, Legendarium, for bringing together a perfect mix of light, laughter, insults, and neediness in both podcast and community. Did you all just go away?
Yes.
No,
Yes.
still here.
So touched.
I'm gone.
Yeah, very touched. I needed to give a moment of silence for that.
Mhm.
That was beautiful, Lady Sweden. Thank you.
And she's helped out with a couple episodes when I've been hosting. I talked to her about them. She and Panda both.
I feel like she's been the Green Team's biggest fan.
She
Yeah.
is.
And she played Civilization with me when I was flat on my back. That was
Oh,
great.
Yeah.
Eventually, we'll get her on.
Mhm.
It'll take some coaxing.
Well, she almost recorded this, but then she read Battleground and decided that she wanted to take a break from books for a while.
I can get that.
Yeah, that was
Right?
I can get that.
Battleground pretty intense there. So
It was
Pretty emotional.
I think I'm gonna have to do it again. I think I'm gonna have to listen to it again because I was pretty wrecked and also felt like I'd been through a battle. Sorry. Panda hasn't read Dresden yet.
No,
That's
I
okay.
have not. I will eventually, and then I will understand all the references and all your feelings.
So many
Yeah.
feelings.
there's a lot of feelings.
A
There's a lot of
surprising
books, so no rush.
And luckily, they don't disappear after a certain amount of time. So you can have all the time in the world to read them.
exactly. I have not. What was it? I have not read the Cradle series. Is that what we were talking about earlier? And then I haven't read the Golden Compass yet. that series.
Yeah, that one you really should read.
Yeah, the second one is good.
I like the first one too, but the second one I think is just a little better.
Like that Lady Sweden brought up the tangent episodes because they really are very fun. I'm really
Yeah.
glad the Legendary
Speaking of-
came up with that.
Speaking of getting shout outs, Panda,
Huh?
you got shout outs during the last tangent one.
Oh.
Food question.
Really? I mean, yes, the food question, that one I don't think Craig will ever live down. Meat pies
meat
are
pies.
real, and they can be good in real life.
Meat pies are totally real. Yeah.
That was so
And
funny
delicious.
though.
And I mean, they had brought up Michael Bay in a previous tangent episode, so the question about Michael Bay was really a joke. I didn't expect them to actually put it in, but they did.
I mean, I didn't expect for them to spend like 10 minutes talking about the taint when I asked my question during their Wheel of Time series.
I mean, that's
Oh.
really, I think that's like a really good example of the way that the Legendarium interacts with its community. Like they are so open, and they really set the tone, like in the podcast, for what kinds of people they attract, and want to interact more with.
Absolutely. 100%. So, any closing thoughts? Anybody have anything else they want to add?
Love all you guys.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
And I'll
What
deny it if anyone says that I said that.
We have recorded.
We have a
proof now.
recording.
I'm keeping that in. And also, really, like, thanks to Kip and Joff for helping the Legendarium have a Reddit and Discord community, because that's really where we get to form these relationships and interact with each other.
And we want to also thank Horizon Brave for getting us started on our
Yes.
spin-off podcast.
Yeah,
And the
thank you,
cute little
Horizon.
cat is my avatar now.
You all require so little moderation. It is a complete joy to moderate this community.
Are
I'll try
you
to fix that.
grateful, Kip? Are you grateful for that?
Ah,
Do you want more drama?
Sounds like a leading question.
I am grateful that this community has less than 1% of the drama and problems that my previous one did.
Oh,
I
well.
didn't realize there were 500 members on Discord now. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of them are lurkers, but we still like you.
My old one had 10,000 people
Oh
on
my
it.
goodness.
Well, 10,000 people are going to create a lot of drama.
They do. You literally couldn't read general chat because it scrolled by too fast.
Oh.
I have a hard time keeping up with it when it gets busy anyway. So
Like things would just be off your screen before you could read them. It was hard to moderate.
I'm sure.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much for listening to our celebration of the Legendarium's 30th episode. 30th.
Yep. 30.
30
That's how we're
episode, all
doing
of
it.
these emotions.
Yeah, Craig's turning 30, everyone.
It's
wanna talk about
this much stuff in 30 episodes. Yep.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for listening to our celebration of the Legendarium's 300th episode. Join us on Reddit and Discord, and please consider supporting this wonderful podcast and this wonderful community on Patreon. And the big question is, did we make Craig cry? Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to our celebration of the Legendarium's 300th episode.
Try again.
Try again, Red. That was swearing.
You almost made it the whole episode without swearing.
Hey, remember, you did the opening on one take. And I
Okay.
believed in you then.
Thank
And
you.
we believe in you again.
You believed in me for 3 takes. What are you talking about?
No, I
have
said
mine
one
too.
today.
What? No, you said 3. Whatever. It doesn't matter.